What is up guys, Deadset here. Patch 2.2 introduces the slow time popping, arcane orb slinging, Dozera's Magnum Opus set. Let's go over the solo oriented Frozen Orb variation. The basic strategy of this build is to capture your enemy in a slow time bubble, amplifying your damage against him and then ramp up your Frozen Orb damage by casting Magic Missile in conjunction with Triumvirate. Once you reach 3 stacks, unleash devastating Frozen Orbs until your reserves deplete or your enemy lies defeated. Always be mindful of the Triumvirate stacks and keeping your foe within slow time, controlling him with Black Hole if necessary. Maintain Ice Armor and Magic Weapon in the background, providing you with safety and resource stability respectively. This is the build I use in the demonstration. The centerpiece of the set and your mobile pocket of destruction, Slow Time, takes an offensive role through the Time Warp rune. You can opt for the additional protection of runes like Exhaustion or Point of No Return, but this build is already quite durable and makes better use of damage buffs. Slow Time has a sizable 15-second cooldown, which you circumvent through the set bonus of Dozera. Depending on your choice of weapon, it will be reset within 3 to 5 spells cast. Do not hesitate to spread multiple slow times as the battle demands. They are free to cast, and your damage will be negligible outside of their radius. Your primary damage dealer will be Arcane Orb, with the AoE-oriented Frozen Orb. This rune compensates its lower burst, in comparison with Obliteration, by piercing through enemies instead of exploding on impact. While this leads to high efficiency in dense areas, keep in mind that the point of impact will give you the highest damage output, and always take the 35-yard travel distance of the orb into account. To build up Triumvirate stacks and reset slow time when you're low on resources, we'll be using Magic Missile. For added elemental synergy and minor crowd control benefits, take the Glacial Spike rune. The damage boost provided by the Dozera set also affects primary skills, but do not overcommit to Magic Missile. Use it sparingly to keep Triumvirate stacks up and draw attention from nearby stragglers. Since keeping the enemy within slow time is instrumental, it makes sense to implement a source of crowd control into the build. Energy Twister plus the Season 3 newcomer Renslaor's Folly are the obvious candidates, but the mid-range combat of Frozen Orb encourages a tankier playstyle, and I find myself preferring Ancient Partner Defenders for the Bracer slot. The one remaining strong pull in the Wizard arsenal is Black Hole, perfectly synergizing with the build through the Absolute Zero rune. Keep in mind that the build does not focus on cooldown reduction on gear, and you will have the full 12 seconds of downtime, so aim your Black Holes carefully. At 30 arcane power per Frozen Orb, you will run through your reserves in seconds. Thus, minor resource regen and damage amplification will be found in Magic Weapon Conduit. This long-lasting steroid remains quietly in the background and will not bring exciting gameplay, but works its wonders nonetheless. For additional protection, we will be using Ice Armor with the massive bulwark of Crystallize. Due to the smaller reach of Frozen Orb, you will maintain a relatively short distance from the enemy, and the inevitable melee brawling will refresh your Crystallize stacks constantly. The added value from Halo of Release will bring excellent crowd control on top of the mitigation, reinforcing Ice Armor as the protection spell of choice. This concludes the overview of the active skills. Now let us look to the passives. Fighting up close as a wizard has its price, and it is paid in safe choices like Blur. Bringing the sizable 17% decrease in damage taken, this rather plain passive will stand as another protective layer between you and death. To slake the arcane power thirst of Frozen Orb, Astral Presence will provide you with a passive regeneration bonus and 20 extra resources to play with, while the interplay with Magic Missile makes Prodigy an attractive option as well. Trying to minimize time spent on a primary skill is the better way to go. Even so, using the primary is inevitable, pulling the attention of stragglers, stacking and keeping Triumvirate, etc. So make the most out of those minor casts through Arcane Dynamo. This will bring you some additional damage, especially in drawn-out fights like the Rift Guardian. Finally, a no-brainer synergistic passive is found in Cold-Blooded. In a pure cold spec like this one, the 10% increase in damage taken from enemies will be up for every Frozen Orb, bulking up your offenses more consistently than the conditional range of Audacity or the toughness trade-off with Glass Cannon. That about covers it for the build. Now let us go over the items. The lifeblood of the Frozen Orb Wizard is the Zeres Magnum Opus set, whose set bonuses are best obtained by wearing the full 6 pieces, leaving your ring slots open for powerful jewelry combinations. Rolls-wise, this arcane power-intensive build makes good use of cost mitigation. Sought after on the Deadset gloves, resource cost reduction becomes the 4th primary after intelligence and the double crit stats. On the Deadset shoulder, it takes a spot alongside intelligence, vitality and armor. Bonus percentage to arcane orb is desired on the Deadset helm and boots, while the Deadset chest and pants remain as pure toughness slots. Not skipping on any of the set pieces allows you to wear a strong mitigation combo on the rings, Unity and Halo of Release. The former will halve the incoming damage when worn by you and your follower, along with an immortality token for him. The latter will multiply the effectiveness of your ice armor mitigation and provide additional crowd control. As long as the requirements of the ring are met, it will release a constant streak of Frost Novas, unhindered by internal cooldowns or a need for the skill on your bar. For melee and mid-range wizards, Halo of Release is without equal. The Halo of Release has a synergistic companion in the face of Ancient Spartan Defenders, whose unique property triggers off of freeze effects as well, even though it's inexplicably missing from the item tooltip. With the chain triggers of Frost Nova from the ring, diving into massive fights turns from a suicide tactic into a survival tool through the numerous damage reduction procs of the Bracer. To round out the jewelry, a strong defensive choice like the Eye of Etlich makes a perfect amulet for the build. Reinforcing the character with protection from ranged attacks, this amulet complements the melee damage reduction from the second ring and the belt. Other options for the slot would be Hellfire Amulet with one of the aforementioned passives, or even a Blackthorn Amulet, if paired with a Blackthorn belt. Regardless of your choice, the ideal stats are crit chance, crit damage, cold elemental damage, and an open socket. The belt slot can be dedicated to either additional mitigation from String of Ears or a strong damage source like the Witching Hour. The former will further reduce incoming melee attacks, which you might find yourself trying to catch up with damage in GR45 and beyond. In such cases, rolling away the attack speed from the Witching Hour for armor, while bolstering your crit damage can be a change for the better. A unique third option is the newly upgraded Cord of the Sherma. Its proc chance increased and duration extended. This belt is a great source of crowd control. A piece just as crucial for the playstyle as the Deadset set itself. The Triumvirate Offhand will bring another source of damage multiplication to your Frozen Orbs. While it has to be stacked up to 3 and remain capped, the 6-second stack duration keeps it from being a hassle. That being said, remain vigilant of your Triumvirate buff, as each missing stack is a sizable damage loss. To complete the equipment, you have several weapons to choose from. The Sunkeeper offers the highest damage range and valuable damage against elite bonuses, whereas Azure Wrath brings elemental damage and utilitarian chance to freeze on top. The Gesture of Orpheus will give you the maximum number of slow time bubbles you can bring out in the field, while the Wizard Spike can give you free Frozen Orb casts. A nice beginner option is the crafted Utar's Roar, that can be an easy source of synergistic ancient weapon early on. Your 3 jewelry sockets will be taken up by the legendary gems Bane of the Trapped, Ice Blink and Bane of the Powerful. Bane of the Trapped is a potent source of additional damage, as it is its own multiplier in your total damage calculation, easily procced by your numerous sources of chills, freezes and slows. This gem fits nicely in the cold build. Ice Blink is a Season 3 exclusive gem that also thrives in cold builds, further slowing down chilled enemies and increasing your crit chance against them through the level 25 property. If you lack access to the gem, Gem of Efficacious Toxin makes for a fine replacement. Bane of the Powerful is the 3rd gem taken to bolster your damage output. It brings good value in a Gesture of Orpheus setup, where elite damage is minimal on gear, and gives a general boost as long as you maintain good killing speed. In the Paragon points, I max out movement speed and then intelligence in the core section, crit chance, crit damage and then cooldown reduction in the offense section, armor, resist all and then life percentage in defense, and resource cost reduction, area damage and then life on hit in utility. And this is it for the Frozen Orb Wizard build. I leave you with a few more minutes of gameplay as I finish off the Rift Guardian. I hope you enjoyed the guide, and if you did, I would appreciate your subscription to my channel. See me live at twitch.tv/thedeadset, talk to me on Twitter and Facebook that I'll link below, and I'll see you guys next time.